So, hello, Amy.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me in.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, doing well. Enjoying the sunshine.
Well, it is sunny today.
Yeah.
It was unexpectedly cold this morning.
Yes.
And it is near enough mid-April.
Yes.
And I am quite angry about it.
Me too.
But I'm trying to be measured and calm. Because we cannot...
It's a good way to approach life.
It is, because we, what we cannot fix must not make us mad.
Exactly.
Which might become a recurring theme in this conversation in some respects. Yeah. So I spotted your LinkedIn post a couple of weeks ago where you were very candid about an experience you'd had with a loss of a pregnancy and the things that you decided to do about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I invited you here today to talk about that and hopefully to drum up some support for your endeavour.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Tell me, if you don't mind, and I know this is personal, but tell me about the experience you had.
Yeah, of course. So it was around July last year. I experienced a baby loss. I was around 10 weeks pregnant when I first found out about the loss, and then 13 weeks pregnant by the time I'd had a sort of emergency D&C operation to obviously go through all that sort of process of removal and things like that. But yeah, it was my first pregnancy, so obviously really excited for everything to sort of come. And I had gone for a private scan just basically out of pure impatience. Just wanted to go and have a look, really. So my husband and I went along, knew pretty quickly, I think, when we were in the room that something was wrong.
You saw the look
wrong.
On the
you sort of
face,
you go in and the sonographers all sort of like slightly quiet. So yeah, we realised pretty quickly that something was wrong, and then she sort of broke the news to us, and then we kind of, what followed was a bit of a, I suppose, medical toing and froing, really. I think.
How did they handle it? Did they tell you reasonably quickly, or were you left in that sort of state of knowing but not knowing?
They sort of told us, the private clinic told us there and then, and said, obviously, you need to start a process with the NHS to, actually investigate it further. They were a little bit, I suppose, unsure. I'd say actually it was a slight case of, I think this happens quite a lot in medical settings for women, but like slight disbelief of, my accuracy of dates and everything for a little bit, for a little while there. They were like, well, maybe, baby's actually smaller and, you're less pregnant than you think, which was definitely not the case. But, so it was a bit of toing and froing. We had to wait around, do a lot of scans, and then wait a week, and then do another scan and wait a week, things like that. So it took a bit of time, which was obviously almost quite torturous in itself. And then I was basically advised that to have an operation for removal would be even longer a wait, and obviously that period of time was quite mentally torturous. So I was keen to sort of act sooner. I went down a medical management route, so took medication, but then had quite a bad reaction to that, ended up getting rushed into A&E, and that's when I then had my emergency D&C was in A&E. So yeah, it was quite a roller coaster period of time, I'd say. But
and I think what you've experienced there is a kind of interference with a series of steps that mums and dads to some extent go through in the early stages of a pregnancy, where they're constantly assured, this is just routine, we're just checking this, and they're not necessarily brilliantly equipped at handling the communication when actually suddenly you're outside that routine, you're outside that groove. So that must have been incredibly difficult for you.
I think that's it. I think quite often the handling of these scenarios is, I don't want to say cold, because, you know, I love what the NHS does for us as a, you know, as a country, and all the amazing, incredible people that work for them. I think there is just kind of a routineness to this for them, that obviously there's a kind of ease of forgetting that, this is an experience that is totally new for some people, and actually, that you do need a bit more sort of support and hand-holding, I think, particularly in the mental health space, which I think is obviously really not very well addressed. I mean, that's the whole thing in itself, criminally underfunded.
Well, it is. I mean, I think the experience you're describing is one that perhaps a lot of us have encountered, of kind of feeling a general admiration for the NHS without question, and it's almost sacrilegious to say anything other than that. And yet, occasionally, when we have our own direct experiences with it, it's not great. And that you know, you do feel like you're owed something for all that unflinching support. We've offered it, you know, whenever anyone's criticised it. And then suddenly, when you're in the thick of it and you need it, it can be a disappointment. I don't think that's unfamiliar to a lot of people, unfortunately. But you mentioned there mental health, which is, I think, an important part of this. Was there anything in the way of NHS counselling for you available? Because clearly, you know, even just the way you're talking about it, it's clear that, you know, this hit you hard. There
was definitely options, sort of via, I'd say, charities and organisations. So less sort of forwardly offered by the NHS. There was options that they did have on the table, but their kind of main port of call was really reaching out to people like Tommy's, or the Miscarriage Association, or the Worst Girl Gang Ever, who I'm working with now, and all these sorts of organisations. And they all offer entirely different things as well. You know, some have kind of helplines, and some have forms of therapy, and some have like peer-to-peer support. And I personally ended up doing a bit of sort of peer-to-peer support with one of the organisations. And then I actually had some therapy through a company called Self-Space. So that was like provided through my workspace, actually, at the time, my workplace. So which, you know, they were sort of an amazing thing, and I was very lucky to get access to that. That was kind of a real proper sit down, you know, therapy sessions with someone who was you know, specially trained in loss. And I think although there's options there, that's not available to every woman, or to every couple, you know, to every partner.
I mean, it does sound a little as though what the NHS did for you, and again, I'm not wanting to, I'm going to stop the NHS bashing in a second, but I'm going to slightly interpret what you've said as they handed you some leaflets. That's probably the more succinct way to put it. It was a lot of leaflets. It was a lot. One of the elements of the film that we've written, we do talk about that a bit, actually, and, you know, poke a bit of fun at that. One of the leaflets I got immediately after was one that had "Why me" emblazoned across the front, and I just remember thinking at the time, I was like, that's probably the most tragic thing I've seen committed to paper. It was just, in that moment, I was like, God, you know, I did a bit of copywriting and everything myself in my day job. I was just like, I'm not sure on that one, but that's just me. Yes. You know, that other people may feel differently about that message, but for me, it didn't resonate at the time. That's interesting. I mean, I hear you loud and clear, and because obviously that speaks to self-pity in a sense, doesn't it? And I don't think anyone really would like to identify with that.
No.
Even if to some extent it is a question perhaps people do end up asking, they feel that the universe has been unfair to them and so on.
Yeah.
And there is a kind of, I think we can all have a broad sense of karma, if you know what I mean, whether that's part of our faith or not, a sort of sense that, hey, I did good things, this shouldn't have happened to me. Let me ask you something else, actually, before we move on to talking about, the response you've had since, you decided to make the film and so on. But another thing that strikes me is you were quite early in your pregnancy. Have you found, perhaps either from the medical professionals or from friends and family, that people have felt that it was of less consequence because it was early on? And, how do you feel about that?
Yes, I mean, absolutely, yes. There was a quite astounding response, I think, from... I'd say less medically. I think that was sort of handled, I think, with the same level of profession as it would have been at any stage of pregnancy. I think personally, friends, family, colleagues, etc., there was definitely some quite varied responses. I think just generally, a response to miscarriage and baby loss, there is always a kind of insensitivity that is, not totally intentional.
Born of awkwardness, right?
Yeah. I think it is born of awkwardness. It's from a place of not knowing what exactly to say in that moment and actually just trying to be reassuring. But, people would say things like, "Oh, well, you weren't too far along, so it's all right," or at least you can get pregnant, or. I had a friend who was further along than you, and that was really hard.
That was properly traumatic. What you went through.
Yeah. So there was a lot of those kind of responses, which I think at the time, they're cutting, but the person saying them doesn't quite realise quite how cutting they are, and they are just trying to be supportive and. I suppose, they're just trying to talk to you about it in their own manner. And I think people find the subject itself so awkward to talk about anyway, that's their kind of instinctive response. But
it's a kind of our national vibe, awkwardness. I think you might. But I suppose the question is, and I don't mean to issue this as a challenge, but it kind of is one. What should they have said?
I suppose, can I swear?
Yeah. It's encouraged.
You're great. That's fucking shit. I'm here if you need me, or like, what can I do to help? I think it's kind of any form of grief, I think, is familiar, whether it be a loss of your loved one that you've known for 50 years, or whether it be a loss of your imagined future. I think the grief still hits you in a similar way, and they are uncomparable things. They are still grief, and
I think they are.
And I think there's kind of a best practice for these things is to just kind of sit with people in it as much as you can. So
I always say, rather than say, I'm not criticising your answer at all, but I always feel that you should say, rather than let me know if I can do anything, is actually to offer to do specific things. I always feel that really puts someone in the seat to say yes or no to whatever it is that's being offered, rather than leaving it on them to ask you for help.
That's very right.
But that aside, I agree with you, and I think there's a wonderful episode of Parks and Recreation, the American comedy, where Chris, played by Rob Lowe, essentially is this sort of brash character who can't help himself from trying to solve everyone else's problems. And his girlfriend at the time, played by Rashida Jones, has had a shit day, and she just wants him to say, you know what, that sucks, rather than come up with a sort of program of suggestions and so on. And sometimes that's all we need, isn't it? Just someone to basically say that shit, rather than try and console us with ridiculous platitudes like "at least you weren't further along" and all of those things. I mean, if people stop and think for a moment, they're going to realise that's not what needs to be said.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm so sorry you had this experience, obviously, but I'm also sorry that we as a nation are so inadequate at helping you through it. How's it been between you and your husband?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it's been tough. We had a really tough, I think, the first few months. We sort of unintentionally started doing something that was really useful, actually, which was just, some days we didn't want to talk about how hard things were, but we were perhaps just having a really down day. We just sort of wake up and we just, today I'm an 8 or whatever, or today I'm a 5, or, today I'm a 2, or, whatever.
That's good.
And it was just a really great way of us kind of, I suppose, being able to just telegraph to each other, like, without having to, unearth everything at every point, just how we're feeling in those days. And we've sort of really ridden through it all together. He's a massive support, and I do think we've sort of helped keep each other, up and smiling and getting through it. So
honestly, I think that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I think because it's difficult for it. Not, I mean, you don't want sort of competitive grieving or sort of some accusations flying about how you don't feel this as much as I do. I mean, that's where the trouble lies if you're not careful with any form of grief, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so I think just being there for each other and accepting also that different people deal with it in different ways.
Yeah, and I think for guys it is it is different as well, and it's a different experience. As it's for me, having that experience and it being sort of my body and particularly all the kind of medical trauma, I'll say, that surrounded it as well, it's a really different feeling, but it was also very scary for him. He was stood on the sidelines witnessing all that, feeling a bit helpless. So there's kind of different feelings that come out of that, I suppose. And
but if we went into a little curtained voting booth to decide which experience we were going to have, and we were able to vote with complete selfishness, we're picking his experience, not yours.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
So sympathy isn't all moving in one direction, but it does need to be largely for you. I think that's fair. Yeah. So let's talk about what you did next. So you have this experience in July. I would imagine there's a kind of slightly numb period where you're just processing.
Yeah.
So how quickly did you decide that you felt you wanted to do something around the communication around miscarriage?
Do you know what? I'd say I probably didn't even really process it. What would have been more sensible was to take probably a bit of time and have a breath.
I see.
But I suppose for me, I am, I'm creative by job and by trade, and I actually just sort of sat down around 2 weeks, maybe even not that long after the loss, and I just started writing. I just started writing how I felt, and before I sort of knew it, it had formed the shape of a script. And I shared it with Nat, who is my writing and directing partner. And she obviously knew the whole intricacies of what was going on. And pinged it over to her, and she was like, "Shit, this is good." She's like, "This is really, it's funny and it's dark and it's twisted." And she was like, can I suggest a few things? I was like, sure, go ahead. She's tweaking some bits. And then what followed was a bit of back and forth writing for a couple of weeks. And then we sort of sat down and we were like, oh, that's something we should actually make. We should do something about that. And then it just kind of swiftly went on from there, really. Like, we didn't really even I didn't really even stop to think about maybe taking a bit more pause for...
Well, I mean, from the sounds of it, it was part of how you were processing it. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's valid. Even
Yeah.
if you'd written it down and then chucked it on the fire.
Yeah.
If it had been cathartic for you to just, you know, express it in words.
Yeah.
You know, speaking as a writer, you're a writer. We know we do this.
Yeah.
It's very instinctive to just set it out like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's great though that it's great that you have enough faith in your writing partner to show her. Let's start there.
Yeah.
And that she was able to recognise there was something, you know, that was of value to it in terms of moving it forward and turning it into something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So how the devil are you going to do that? How are you getting on with it? And let's before we move that, are we talking short film? Are we talking long form? What's the where are you up to?
Short film, around 5 minutes. It's kind of all written, and you know we've shared it a lot with people who have experienced baby loss. I think we wanted to, before we did anything, just actually check that, I suppose, the sort of way that the story is told rings true to those people, is not insensitive, I suppose.
Has it got jokes?
It's a dark comedy, so
it's got jokes.
It's got jokes in it. It's baby loss with jokes, which is like not what you normally would put together, and that I think. But
I can see why you then felt the need. You wanted to make sure that other people were in tune with what you were trying to do.
Exactly.
Other people who've been through the experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just started sort of sharing with a select group of people that we both knew that had been through this experience, and I suppose sort of consulting with them a bit in little bits of the script and getting some feedback, and which was a really nice different way to write. Obviously, you know, other ways of writing, you might not quite share it far and wide with various people of various different, you know, professions and lifestyles and backgrounds and things like that. So at least at that very early stage. Okay. So that was really interesting to do. And then from there we sort of started looking, I suppose, for a charity partner. And we met the Worst Girl Gang Ever, who was actually...
The Worst Girl Gang Ever.
The Worst Girl Gang Ever, with the best name, I feel. So we started chatting to them as a group, and
and sorry, just to identify them, what's their remit?
So they're kind of a peer-to-peer support group, charity. I did a lot of actually peer-to-peer support through them myself. Joined their various groups that they've got. They do a lot of fundraising for research and bits as well.
All concerned with miscarriages?
All concerned with...
because they sort of sound like their remit could be broader than that.
I suppose like it's miscarriage, it's trying to conceive, pregnancy after loss. They're kind of on that journey of... the roller coaster of
reproduction.
The reproduction roller coaster. Yes, I like that.
They got that at Alton Towers, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, and they've responded positively to it, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But it's probably quite a big thing for them to fund.
Yes, right. Yeah, they're a charity. They fundraise themselves for everything that they do. So obviously we said, you know, we'll make this together. But then it's a mission to fundraise itself. So we're doing some fundraising with them. We're doing a fundraiser ourselves. We're sort of seeking out partners and sponsors and all these, you know, fun bits to bring it all to life.
Let's talk brass tacks. How much are you looking to raise, and how much of it have you already got covered?
So we are looking to raise 50k.
Okay.
At the moment, I can't say exact numbers this morning because I've been
okay. This isn't.
I've been doing the old wheeler dealers on the.
It's fine.
I'm doing phone calls today. So we're probably around at the sort of 15 to 20 mark raised, with some conversations that we've had essentially this week. So we're nearly halfway, but we need obviously the vital second half, and you know that sort of money is real hard costs in terms of production and what the script entails. And we've had an amazing sort of response to even just starting to share the film. Some incredible people volunteering up their time, their skills, their effort, you know, from the industry. So that's been incredible as well. So the team is ever growing and getting bigger to actually bring it to life as well. So,
and are you funding it through which mechanism are you using?
Greenlit at the moment.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were to share the link, people can just get on there and donate.
Yeah. Very easy.
Fantastic. Well, there must be people who are watching this, who are listening to this, who want to help you, and I hope that they may do so, because it's a very important. It's a very important thing that you're doing, and also just a wonderful way, I think, of responding to something that's affected you so deeply. And I really congratulate you for it.
Thank you.
And it must be brilliant to have, you know, such an excellent creative partnership as well. To have somebody by your side, and you two operate as Riot. Is that right?
Yes.
Excellent. This is a great name. And obviously you're planning to direct it yourselves.
Yes. Yeah. So we've been sort of directing bits on and off together for a couple of years now, and it's ramping up a lot more lately, I should say.
Is that ultimately the plan? I mean, to move into directing?
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's been a sort of goal for us for a while now. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I can only wish you all the best in that. All the best in the making of this. What's the film called?
It's called A 30-something's Guide to Your First Miscarriage.
Already funny. Excellent. Well, I hope, as I say, that by us putting this out there, that perhaps some people will come forward and help you with the funding of it. And I can't wait to see it once it's complete. And I hope that we'll get the chance to talk again once we get there.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much,
having
Amy.
me.